Okay, this is a video to explain how we do partial quotients. Okay, so we start by reading the question. Henry saved $3,528 last year working 2 extra jobs. He spent half his money on a trip to Disney World and put the other half in savings. How much money did Henry put in savings? So we start by figuring out what our most important word in our question is, which would be, in this case, savings. So we would underline that, and then our main idea is that same word. So we're going to say our main idea is savings. And then we think about, would that be the groups, the each, or the total? Well, since he did put a part in Disney World and the other half in savings, that sounds like a part of something. So that'd be 2 groups, and that's one of the groups, so that would be each. So in parentheses, I put each because that's what I'm looking for. Then we do our unit bar, and I'm going to draw it off to the side instead of where it belongs because that's not enough room for me. So I have Henry's money and a blank unit bar. And I go back and I read the question. Henry saved $3,528 last year working 2 extra jobs. Well, that number looks like the total, so I would put it at the top of my unit bar. And then continue reading. He spent half of his money on a trip to Disney World and put the other half in savings. So half tells me that I am splitting it into 2 equal groups. So I'm going to split my unit bar into 2 equal groups. I'm going to label one Disneyland and the other savings. How much money did Henry put in savings? So that tells me that's what I'm looking for. That's where I'm going to put my question mark. Up to this point, there's nothing new. This is just like they would normally do a unit bar. With division in partial products, I'm asking the students to be very specific when they write their number sentences. So for example, it would be $3,528 divided by 2 uses, because he's using it for savings and for Disneyland, equals how many, and I do that with a line, in each. How much each. So writing it like that really makes them think about what they're looking for and what the question is asking, and so if there's a remainder, it makes it much easier for them to determine if that remainder would change our quotient or not. Okay, so before we went into the area models, I showed them how to use the manipulatives in dividing. So I'm going to do the same with this video. So I have Disneyland and savings. I made my 2 groups, and now I'm going to use the manipulatives to create my number. So I had 3,528 okay. And so we talked about what we would do next. So they told me that they would split the unit bars into the 2 groups. So we start with our largest place value. In this case, that would be the thousands place. So I would take 1,000 and put it in the Disneyland and 1 in the savings. Well, then I have another 1,000. I can't split that 1,000 block on the board in between the 2 groups. So I would have to trade it in. Well, 1,000's cube is worth 10 hundredths. So I would pull out 10 hundredths flat. So I now have 10 there. So we talked about how now we have a total of 15 hundredths because we had the 5 already and then we added 10 more. At this point, they should be able to tell you that they would divide those 15 into the 2 groups by putting 1 in each until they run out. So they should always have an equal amount. So now both have 300, now both have 400, and so on. Okay, and that leaves us with 1 more. Again, we can't cut that in half on the board, so we would have to trade it in for 10 tenths. So again, I would talk about how many 10s do we have now? Well, we should have 12 because we started with the 2 from the 28 and then added the 10 from trading it in. Again, we divide those out evenly. Well, if I can grab it. There we go. Put 1 in each until we've used them all. Now they both have 20. Now they both have 30, and so on. And talking about how much they have each time is good for when we get down to the area model in just a moment. So we used all our 10s. Now we're going to move on to our 1s and do the same thing. Put 1 in each until we have used them all. 3, 3, 4, and 4. So now we have evenly divided our number. We just look at how much is in each. So I have 1,000 here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 10. So that would be 60. 1, 2, 3, 4 ones, so 4. Add it all together. You get 1,764. So 3,578 divided by 2 is 1,764. Okay, that is how we reviewed the basic division using the manipulatives. The next video will go over specifically adding in the area model.